elegance in every design. Celjis, Celjis, the reading of the runway. Celjis, Celjis, shining bright every day. Dress with pride, let your culture sing. In Celjis fashion, you're a king or queen. Bold color dance like a sunset embrace. Celjis fashion, a symbol of grace.
Hello viewers, welcome to ATN Craft show with Celjis. On today's episode, we are going to be learning how to make senator cap. Some people call it a Awolowo cap with the use of gum alone. We are not going to make use of the sewing machine in making this cap, which means you can stay at home and make this cap for yourself, and then or you can make for your customers and sell it out there. So it's very simple to make. African fashion isn't just clothing, it is a celebration of identity, a dance of tradition, and an embrace of individuality. Hello viewers, I'm Celjis. Welcome to ATN Craft show with Celjis, the African fashion world, a world of diverse colors, rich texture, and captivating stories. Each stitch tells a tale of heritage, a celebration of diversity, and a nod to the modern. From the sweeping landscape to the rhythmic beat, the African fashion reflects the soul of a continent. Let the runway be your passport to a tapestry of elegance and authenticity. Join me on this sartorial journey that transcends beyond others and unites us in the universal language of style. Once again, welcome to ATN Craft show with Celjis. To get started, you have to be sure that all your materials are ready. And for this tutorial, you need the human head measurements. But for this tutorial, I'm going to use the head of my mannequin to illustrate how to take a perfect measurement for senator cap. And also, you also need your marco. This is the marco. So it's not too thick, it's not too light. This is the type of marco we are using for empty thick, is not too light. This is the type of marco we are using for empty machine oil container. The reason I make use of the empty machine oil container is because I turn my gun into this empty machine oil container so that the finishing of my work will be very perfect at the end of the day. I prefer using this to using the gum brush. So as we go into the class, you're going to understand me better. So, and also you're going to be needing your Ankara material. Yes, if you want to make use of a plain material, it's optional, it's your choice. But for me, I love the African fabric. So I'm just going to be making use of the African fabric to make this senator cap. And also you need your 1-inch foam. This is the 1-inch foam. You also need super glue for this tutorial. You need your ribbon. This is the ribbon. You need your scissors, you need your thread, and also you need your needle. This is our needle. You need your needle. You also need a pen or a chalk. You also need your measurement tape. So let's get started. Firstly, you're going to measure your customer's head to get a perfect cap that will be able to sit on your customer's head. And to do that, you're going to concentrate on these two parts of the human head. That's the forehead and this other part. So this is how you're going to do your measurements. So you take your measurement tape, round the head just like this, from the forehead just like this. Remember, the cap is meant to sit on the head. So you can see what we have here is 20.5 inches. So while doing your measurement, please don't take your tape down here. Let me show you. Don't take your tape, don't take your hand down here. It's a no-no. So make sure that your tape is centered on the forehead and it goes around like this to get a perfect measurement for this senator cap. So, but for this tutorial, I'm going to be using my head measurement, and then I've already done the measurement of my head and it gave me 22.5 inches. So I'm going to be working with that, 22.5 inches. And because the circumference of my head is 22.5 inches, I'm just going to cut out my marker. I've already done the cutting already, but I'm going to show you how I did my cutting. So because my head measurement, or if the customer's head measure, your customer's head measurement is, for instance, 22.5 inches, whatever you get as the circumference of your customer's head, always remember to add 1 inch extra allowance to your measurement when you want to measure your marker. So because the circumference of my head is 22.5 inches, I measured my marker to be 23.5 inches. You can see this is 23.5 inches. That's the length of the marker that I measured here. So the standard measurement for the width of this cap is 2.5 inches. You can see this is 2.5 inches. So this is what we measured. So now, to get started, you're going to be marking 1 inch away from this angle where the to mark 1 inch from this angle, just like this. You mark 1 inch just like this, then you connect the lines together this way. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to fold this way, and then you place this part right on this 1 inch where we marked the 1 inch. And then you bring out your needle and your thread and stitch them together, just like this. Like I told you, this is very easy to make. You can make this from your home, and then you can sell it out there for your customer. You don't need to make use of the sewing machine to make this. We're just only going to be using our gum, our needle and thread to make this beautiful cap. So I'm going to stitch this together. I'm going to stitch this together. So once I get to the end, to this end, I'm just going to tie it and then cut off the thread. So I'll tie this place now, then cut off the thread this way. So this is what we've got, so I'll put this aside. Let me just tie this and so the next thing we are going to do is we are going to be cutting our fabric. Now, I've already done the cutting. I've already done the measurements of the fabric that we are going to use for this awolowo cap. So I'm going to explain how I did my measurement. Remember, I told you that my head circumference is 22.5 inches. And then on this marco, because my head circumference is 22.5 inches, I added extra 1 inch. So the measurement I used for this as the length of this marco was 23.5 inches. And then also for this fabric, I also measured 23.5 inches as the length of this fabric. Now the width of this marco, remember I used 2.5 inches, but for this fabric I'm going to use 6 inches as the width, while the length is 23.5 inches. So the next thing I'm going to do now is, remember, this is the wrong side of the fabric, and this is the right side of the fabric. Because this is the right side of the fabric, I'm just going to fold it like this, the right side facing the right side. Remember, this is the wrong side, while this is the right side. So I'm just going to fold this together like this. Then I'll use my needle and thread and stitch this edge by ½ inch. Remember, we are not stitching. When we did on this with this marco, we stitch by 1 inch, but on this fabric we are just going to stitch by ½ inch and not 1 inch. So I'll quickly do that now. So I'm not making use of my sewing machine to do the stitching. I'm going to use my needle and thread. The reason why I'm using my needle and thread to do this stitching is because I don't want it to say it's because I don't have my sewing machine. That's why I'm not able to practice my work. So with this, you can stay at home even without you having your sewing machine. You can make a perfect cap, and then you start selling in the market, and then you start making money for yourself. Yes, for yourself. When you make your cap, you post them on your social media page, and then you sell them out there for your customers. Remember, when you're doing when you're making your cap, make sure that the finishing of your work is neat. That's what is going to attract customers to you. If they get to buy your product and it's not of standard, it's not neat, nobody wants to come to you again. So while doing your production, you have to take your time and be sure that everything is perfect. You don't need to rush your work. Just make sure that everything is perfect, everything is quality, everything is standard, is neat. Even while you're applying your gum, make sure that it doesn't get stained, like your work is not stained by gum. So as you can see, I'm stitching this edge by ½ inch. Stitching this edge by ½ inch. So once I get to this last point, I'm going to tie it and cut off the excess thread. So I'm going to tie it and cut off the excess thread. This is very easy to make. So you can see what I'm doing. You can see what I'm doing. I'm done with that. So the next thing I'm going to do now is, you can see this is how it looks. Now I'm going to turn it this way. You can see this is the part that we stitch. It's very neat. It's as if we use a sewing machine to what we use needle and thread to stitch. So it's very perfect. That's because of the way I stitched it. So the next thing we are going to do now is we'll bring out our foam Remember I told you this is 1 inch foam. This is 1 inch foam. They have the 1/2 inch foam, but I want the upper part of my cap to be a little bit thick, so I'm using the 1 inch foam for this. So I'm just going to place this marco on it just like this. Then I'll bring out my pen. So I'm just going to set this marco the way I want the shape of my cap to be. So I'll just place it on my foam this way, remember, this way, so leaving excesses all around. So I'm going to use my pen to trace out the shape of this marco on the foam. Make sure that your tracing is perfect. Make sure that the tracing is very perfect. So I've successfully traced out what I want rather. So the next thing I will do now is I will bring out my tape. Then I'm just going to measure 1 inch all round. African fashion isn't just clothing. It is a celebration of identity, a dance of tradition, and an embrace of individuality. Hello viewers, I'm Celjis. Welcome to ATN Craft Show with Celjis, the African fashion world, a world of diverse colors, rich texture, and captivating stories. Each stitch tells a tale of heritage, a celebration of diversity, and a nod to the modern. From the sweeping landscape to the rhythmic beat, the African fashion reflects the soul of a continent. Let the runway be your passport to a tapestry of elegance and authenticity. Join me on this sectarian journey that transcends beyond others and unites us in the universal language of style. Once again, welcome to ATN Craft Show with Celjis. This way. This is how you do it. Measure 1 inch all round. So I'll continue doing this till I get to the point where I started. It's very, very easy to make. Very simple, very easy to make. So remember, like I told you, if you don't want to make use of the Ankara fabric, you can as well use a plain fabric in doing it. But for me, I love the African fashion. So I'm just connecting these lines that I just marked together. You can see, connecting the lines together. And connecting them together. Make sure it won't give your cap a funny look. So this is what we have. You can see this is what we have. So the next thing we are going to do is I'm just going to pick up my scissors, then I will cut. I'm not going to cut the inner circle. I'm going to cut this one now. So this is what I will cut. So make sure that you cut exactly on the line that you just marked. You don't have to rush, do it gently so that you won't give your cap a funny look. Yeah.
Celjis, the rhythm of the runway. Celjis, Celjis, shining bright every day. Dress with pride, let your culture sing. In Celjis fashion, you're a king or queen. Bold color dance, like
Okay, I'm done with this part, so I'm just going to keep this aside. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'll bring out my fabric and I'll place it on a flat surface, just like this. Remember, this is the wrong side of the fabric, while this is the right side of the fabric. So the wrong side of the fabric will be facing you. So now the next thing I'm going to do is I'll place this foam that we just marked on this fabric. So remember I told you I always don't make use of the gum brush while doing my work. That's because I always make use of the empty machine oil container while applying my gum to whatever I'm making. That's because I don't want, when I'm trying to apply my gum to, for instance, I'm trying to apply my gum to an angle whereby I don't want the gum to get to, and then the gum mistakenly gets to that point. It's going to make the finishing of my work unprofessional. So that is why I make use of this, so that while I'm applying my gum, it's going to apply on that point which I want it to be. So the next thing I want to do is I'm going to turn my gum into this empty machine oil container. And remember, while opening your gum, after turning your gum into your empty machine oil container, always close back your gum tightly so that air will not enter and spoil your gum for you. So this is what I have done. So the next thing I will do now is I'm going to apply my gum now on this foam like this. This is how I'm applying it. So I will make sure that I spread this gum all over this part of the foam. So this is how it is. So I'll make sure that I spread it all over this part, just like this. Like a sunset embrace, Celjis fashion, a symbol of grace. Press that the story so profound. So you allow it to dry for a while, but for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm just going to gum it immediately because this particular gum I'm using is a very strong gum. So, but if you're doing yours, in case you're using a gum that is not as strong as my gum, you allow it to dry for a while before gumming it to your fabric. So now I'm just going to gum this to my fabric this way. This is how I've done my gum. So the next thing I'll do is I'm going to cut this off with my scissors. You can see the way I'm cutting. I'm not leaving any excess all around. I'm not leaving any excess all around. I'm just cutting the exact shape of this foam out. I'm not cutting any excess fabric. Okay, this is what we have. So I'm going to use my hands to dress the fabric on this foam. So the next thing we're going to do is we'll turn this other part of the foam, and then we'll also apply our gum to it this way. Remember to always spread your gum all over it. Just the way I'm doing it. Hello viewers, I'm Celjis. Welcome to ATN Craft Show with Celjis, the African fashion world, a world of diverse colors, rich texture, and captivating stories. African fashion isn't just clothing, it is a celebration of identity, a dance of tradition, and an embrace of individuality. Each stitch tells a tale of heritage, a celebration of diversity, and a nod to the modern. From the sweeping landscape to the rhythmic beat, the African fashion reflects the soul of a continent. Let the runway be your passport to a tapestry of elegance and authenticity. Join me on this sectarian journey that transcends beyond others and unites us in the universal language of style. Once again, welcome to ATN Craft Show with Celjis.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today only on ATN.
So after doing that, I'm going to fold this fabric and keep it aside. So I'll fold this and keep it aside. Always make sure that you arrange your table and make it very neat while doing your work. Then the next thing I will do is I'm going to quickly thread my needle. I'm going to quickly thread my needle again, because we want to do some stitching. So just follow me.
Celjis, the reading of the runway. Celjis, Celjis, shiny bright every day. Dress with pride, let your culture sing. In Celjis fashion, you're a king of kings. Gold color dance like a sunset embrace. Celjis fashion, a symbol of grace. Press that the story so profound. In every stitch a heritage is found. Celjis, Celjis, the reading of the...
So after threading it, I'm going to tie this edge. I'll tie it like 2 or 3 times. 2 or 3 times.
Celjis, the reading of the runway. Celjis, Celjis, shiny bright every day. Dress with pride, let your culture sing. In Celjis fashion, you're a king of queens. Gold color dance like a sunset embrace. Celjis fashion, a symbol of grace. Press that the story so profound. In every stitch a heritage is found.
Okay, so I'm just going to cut off this excess fabric. So the next thing we are going to do is we bring out this part. Remember, this is the part that we stitch with our needle and thread. So what we are going to do now is this is where we stitch it. So we are going to put this, insert this on this. Make sure this part now aligns with this part that we join. So this is what we are going to do. We are going to put this into this. This is how you should do. Insert this into this. So use your hands to dress it so that everything will be well arranged.
Celjis, the reading of the runway. Celjis, Celjis, shiny bright every day. Dress with pride, let your culture sing.
So this is how it looks. This is how it looks. This is the inside. And this is how the body looks. So the next thing we're going to do now is we are going to quickly apply our gum to this inner marco, to the inside of this marco, because we are going to be folding this fabric into it, and to do that we have to apply our gum all over the inside of this marco, just like this.
Reading of the wrong way. Celjis, Celjis, shining bright every day. Dress with pride, let your culture sing. In Celjis fashion, you're a king or queen. Bold color dance, like a sunset embrace. Celjis
So after doing that,
symbol of grace.
you keep it aside to dry for a while, but my gum is very strong, so I'm just going to just fold it into it this way. It's going to lap very well, so you make sure that you use your hand to set it and make sure the fabric laps properly. So this is how it looks. So we are going to do the same thing on this other part. So we apply the gum to the marco that is inside, all round.
Celjis, you're reading of the wrong way. Celjis, Celjis, shining bright every day. Dress with pride, let your
All
culture
round.
sing. In Celjis fashion, you're a king or queen.
So let's proceed. So remember I just applied my gum to the marco, so I'm just going to quickly fold this into it. So this is how it is. It is very interesting while making. It's very simple. It's not something very hard. It's something that you can do as simple as you're watching it. So you can see this is how it looks. So now we'll keep this aside and then we'll bring out this part. So we are going to do a running stitching on this part. So for those of you who don't understand what I mean by running stitching, this is how we are going to be doing the stitching. Well, I want to stitch this part now, but this is how I'm going to do the stitching. Like this. Let me start again. You put your needle on the edge like this, then connect it this way, connect it this way, connect it this way. You're not tying it, you're just, so you pull your thread, so you continue that way till you get to the point where you started. Till you get to the point where you started. You're not tying it to end it, so we'll just continue doing the running stitching all around the edge this way.
Celjis, you're reading of the wrong way. Celjis, Celjis, shining bright every day. Dress with pride, let your culture sing. In Celjis fashion, you're a king or queen. Bold color dance, like a sunset embrace.
So you continue stitching. Remember, we didn't tie to end. So we've gotten to the point where we started. This is where we started our stitching. So this is how we are going to do. I'm just going to pull my thread to, because remember I told you I want my cap to have a little puff. So I'm just going to pull my thread like this. I'm going to pull my thread like this. So this is it. I don't want this to be flat. I want it to be a little puffy. Because I want it to be puffy, I'm going to pull my thread. So this is perfect. This is okay. So now, since I've gotten to this point where I started, I'm going to end this by stitching this edge now. So I'm going to stitch it to end it. So this is how to do the stitching. This is how it looks. This is the inside of the cap, and this is the upper part. So this is how it looks. I'm going to insert this into this way, so it will be like this. And to do that, what I'm going to do is I'll quickly apply my gum all over this edge now, just the edge, not every part of it. So I'm just going to apply my gum on this edge. All around the edge, this way.
Celjis, you're reading off the wrong way. Celjis, shining bright every day. Dress with pride, let your culture sing. In Celjis fashion, you're a king or queen. Gold color dance, like a sunset embrace.
Then you can see I've successfully applied my gum all around this edge. So I'm just going to leave it for a while for it to dry. So the next thing I'll do is I'll apply a little gum round this edge, all around this edge now.
Vibrant prints and patterns so divine. Africa elegance in every design. Celjis.
So you apply your gum all around this edge as well. So I've gotten to where I started applying the gum, so I'm just going to end. You allow your gum to dry for a while before you start your gumming. But for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm just going to gum it immediately because the gum I'm using is very, very strong. So the next thing I'm going to do, remember we applied our gum here, so I'm just going to set this cap this way. This is where we did our joining, so it's supposed to be like this. This is where we did our joining. So I'm just going to set the cap this way. So remember we applied our gum all over this point, rather. So what I'm going to do is it will be like this. I'll set it this way. I will insert this part into it this way. I'm inserting it into it this way because I want to glue this part that I applied my gum to this part. So I'm using my hand to dress it. Use your hands to dress in case while doing your work your hand gets stained by gum. You can use a little piece of fabric to clean it off, then quickly continue with your work. So I'm using my hands to dress this upper part so that everything will lap properly and stay in place.
Vibrant prints and patterns so divine. Africa elegance in every design.
So this is coming out beautiful.
Reading off the wrong way. Celjis, shining bright every day. Dress with pride, let your culture sing. In Celjis fashion.
So the next thing we are going to do is, remember we can't leave this like this. These edges are still a little bit rough, so we can't leave this way. We are going to do the finishing of this cap with our super glue. This is the super glue I'm using. This is the super glue I'm using. So I'm using my super glue to do the finishing of this upper parts. So I've not opened the glue, so I'll use my needle to open it up this way.
Vibrant prints and patterns so divine. Africa elegance in every design. Celjis, you're reading off the wrong way.
So once I apply a little, then I'll press it to glue together this way. You can see it has glued. So I'll continue doing that till I'm sure that all the edges are well glued. So you can see how neat this work is. there's no gum stain on it. There's no gum stain on it. So make sure that the finishing of our work is very, very perfect, because it's your work that will speak for you. If the finishing of your work is neat, people want to patronize you. And if your work is quality as well, people want to patronize your work. So you don't necessarily need to use a sewing machine to make your cap. You can as well use your hand, and it will be very strong and is very durable. So I'm still gluing the edges. I'm still gluing the edges.
Byron Prince and pattern so divine. Africa elegance in every design. Celjis, Celjis, the reading of the runway.
So you can see we've successfully glued every part of the edge, and it's very neat. But now if you open the inside of the cap, it's still very rough. You're not going to leave it this way. That is why you need your ribbon. This is the ribbon. So we are going to use the ribbon to close up that this rough part, the inner part. And to do that, you are going to place your ribbon on a flat surface like this, and then you gently apply your gum on it. Make sure that you spread your gum all over the ribbon. You spread your gum. Remember, while doing your work, do it gently. Apply your gum gently so that you won't make mistake. So this is what I'm doing, so that you won't make mistake.
Byron Prince and pattern so divine. Africa elegance in every design. Celjis, Celjis, the reading of the runway. Celjis, Celjis, shining bright every day. Dress with pride, let your culture sing.
For this, you're going to allow it to dry before doing your gum. Allow it to dry before doing your gum.
Celjis fashion, a symbol of grace. Dress that the story so profound. In every stitch, our heritage is found.
So this particular cap we are making, you can rock it to any event of your choice. You can rock it to a wedding ceremony. It's actually a unisex cap. Ladies put on senator cap. Guys also put on senator cap. So you can rock it to any event of your choice. Like I said, you can also decide to make use of a plain fabric instead of using the Ankara fabric to make it. But for me, I love the African fashion. That is why I'm producing my cap with the use of Ankara, which is the African fabric. So I think this should be able to go around it. Oh. So I'll allow this to dry. I won't cut it yet. In case while we are doing our gummy, if it's not enough, we can just continue. So now the next thing I will do is I've successfully applied my gum on the ribbon. So the next thing I want to do now is I will also apply my gum now on this. You can see this is the rough part. So I will apply my gum on this rough edge now, all around this rough edge. I'm not applying it, it's all over the cap. I'm just applying all over these rough edges. So this is how I'm doing it.
Byron Prince and pattern so divine. Africa elegance in every design. Celjis, Celjis, the reading of.
We are almost done with our cap, our senator cap making. It's very, very easy to make. Very, very simple and easy to make.
Byron Prince and pattern
Done
so
with it.
divine. Africa elegance in every design. Celjis, Celjis, the reading of the runway. Celjis, Celjis, shining bright every day. Dress with pride, let your.
Okay, I'm going to leave this for a while, to dry for a while. Hello viewers, I'm Celjis. Welcome to ATN Craft Show with Celjis, the African fashion world, a world of diverse colors, rich texture, and captivating stories. African fashion isn't just clothing, it is a celebration of identity, a dance of tradition, and an embrace of individuality. Each stitch tells the tale of heritage, a celebration of diversity, and a nod to the modern. From the sweeping landscape to the rhythmic beat, the African fashion reflects the soul of a continent. Let the runway be your passport to a tapestry of elegance and authenticity. Join me on this sectorial journey that transcends beyond others and unites us in the universal language of style. Once again, welcome to ATN Craft Show with Celjis.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Learning this great skill. Do where to practice your work, and also follow us on our social media handle hashtag ATN Craft Show with Celjis. Hashtag ATN Craft Show with Celjis. Post your work on your social media. Hashtag ATN Craft Show with Celjis, so that I will get to see your work and then get to score you. Yes. Remember, this show, we are going to award our best students, and we are going to invite them to this television station, and we are going to award them. So do where to practice your work. We want to see your work. We want to showcase you out there for people, everybody in the world, to see your work, your beautiful work. So I think our gum is now dry. Our gum is now dry. Now, you're going to gum this ribbon now, this part of the ribbon where you applied your gum, on this rough edge, gently. So on this rough edge, so you make sure that you gum it very well. Make sure that it covers the rough edge. Make sure that this ribbon covers this rough edge. I'll do the gumming and show you how it looks.
Africa elegance in every design. Celjis, the reading of the runway. Celjis, shining bright every day. Dress with pride, better.
So once you get to the point where you started, just cut off the ribbon, and then you use your hands to dress it so that everything will be neat.
In every design. Celjis,
We are done already. We are really done with cap making. So I just want to be sure that everything is well gummed so that we won't have rough edges. Now after doing that, if you notice an opening, use your super glue to glue that part so that at the end of the day you're not going to have an opening. So use your glue to glue the part, glue it so that it will stay in place.
Celjis, you're reading off the wrong way. Celjis, shining bright every day. Dress with pride, let your culture sing. In Celjis fashion, you're a king of me.
We're done already. We are done already. We are done. So this is how it looks. This is how the upper parts look. So I'm just going to put it on now and show you how it looks on me. So remember, this is where the joining is. This is how it looks on me. Is this not lovely? This is beautiful. So I would love to see the picture of your work. And then you're free to ask questions where you need clarity. Follow us on our social media handles, follow us on our YouTube channel, and also ask questions where you need clarity. Thank you for staying with us. Stay blessed and stay productive. Hello viewers, I'm Celjis. Welcome to ATN Craft Show with Celjis, the African fashion world, a world of diverse colors, rich texture, and captivating stories. African fashion isn't just clothing, it is a celebration of identity, a dance of tradition, and an embrace of individuality. Each